Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again. It's Bly and Holly at 34 Vampires, and if you watched our last video you'll know about the car being broken into when we were moored at Wigan. So we went back on ourselves to Crooke Village and we moored by the Crooke Inn. We were there for 2 weeks, and this morning you can see in the video we're just taking off again. So we've got to go down and under the bridge, and Bly's got to do his first turn. So yeah, this will be interesting. So because at the moment all we've done is go forward. The only turn that we've ever done is when we actually pulled the boat round. So yeah, this will be an interesting one, so stay watching. I don't know if you're able to make out the goose that's on the right hand side of the screen, about halfway up, that's quite near the edge. That goose unfortunately lost its partner to avian flu and had been quite distressed and was swimming around, honking around the boats during the night, which is quite unusual behaviour for geese at night. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of avian flu on the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. We're currently, at the time that I'm editing this video, we're currently on the Lee branch, and it's not very nice, but there's actually a dead swan that's floating. I can actually see it outside of the window, and we saw a poorly one that was sat on a path nearby as well a few days ago. So they've been reported, but as far as I'm aware, nobody's come out. So what with the nights getting darker and the lack of sunlight, obviously we've been getting a lot less solar, especially as we'd been under the trees as well. There was woodland all along the side of us where we were moored. So when we took a trip out to Midland Chandler's, we needed to get some more ropes for the tyres that we were using as extra fenders. We also then took a trip from there to I think it was Machine Mart, where we went and got a Honda generator so that we could keep topping up the leisure batteries. So as with a lot of things with boat life, not everything goes smoothly. So the first thing that we found was the oil cap was a plastic one for the generator, and it hadn't been machined properly, either that or when it had been tested it had been forced in, so that was a bit mangled, so that didn't fit properly. And then the next problem that we found was about 80% of the time when the generator was running, after about 20-30 minutes it spent a couple of seconds struggling and then it just completely turned off. So we took it back to the local one because we'd bought it while we were out. So we went back to the local Wigan one with it, and luckily they were very good about changing it, and it had been under the 30 days. So they were able to order in a new one, and so far so good. So hopefully there won't be any problems with this one, because we've only had it on for a few times, but it seems to be working okay so far. So I think it was 2 or 3 locks that we did on this day, and we were mooring up at the same place as we did in Wigan before. We really didn't want to, but didn't have much of a choice, because with the Lee branch being shut, the further forward that we went into Wigan, we were a bit concerned about that. But as it turned out, Bly came down with a really nasty virus, so I think we actually ended up staying there for about 5 nights in the end. But we parked the car over on a residential estate, and luckily it was okay this time. And as you can see in the video, we're having a bit of a trouble with the boat as well. I don't know what went wrong, but it kind of went out into the middle of the canal, and yeah, we got it sorted though. I think this was the first lock that we came to. So after mooring up for the 5 nights where we didn't want to stay and hadn't intended to stay more than one night, which was opposite the stadium and Ninja Warrior, we were able to carry on once Bly was well, and we decided that we were actually going to moor. There was a 48-hour mooring the other side of the lock by Wigan Dry Dock, that was in the centre, and it looked really nice. We were sort of a bit, shall we stay in the middle of Wigan or not? But as it turned out, it was actually really weird because it was one of the quietest mooring spots that we've ever been to and that we've stayed at. So before now we've stayed out sort of like in the middle of nowhere where you wouldn't expect to see people, and the towpath's been really busy, and yet right in the middle of Wigan where we were for those 2 nights was really, really quiet, and we actually quite enjoyed it. It's a shame we couldn't have stayed longer. So after those 2 nights, because we were limited to 2 lights because of the restrictions there, we went off again, we started cruising again, and we were off towards the Lee branch because by now the Lee branch was open. That's something that we'd literally been waiting for months. And so this lock that we were coming up to was a double lock, and as you can see, one of the gates was actually broken. I think it was to do with the gears, and so only one of the gates would open, making it really, really narrow. And the problem was you also had to come in on an angle. So as fairly new boaters, I think up to this time we'd probably done sort of about 50-55 miles from complete newbies. So anyway, luckily it was Bly that was driving. He took it through, no scratches at all, and did a really grand job of getting it through and into the lock. As it turned out, I found out that the gate lock had been broken for quite some time, and unfortunately this is one of the things that we keep coming up with on the canal, is that when there's mending to be done, when things are broken, nothing seems to be done very quickly, which I think a lot of it, I don't know that it's to do with management so much as lack of funding for the CRT. You can see here as well, every time Bly goes into a lock, I always walk ahead and put my arm out. That's to show him where the sill is, because obviously when you're sort of 60 foot backwards at the back of the boat, it's hard to see where the sill is, and the last thing you want to do is get caught on that. So it just gives him that visual reminder of where it is and how far he needs to stay back towards the back gates. As you can see, it was a really clear day, absolutely beautiful day for cruising. We were really lucky. Seeing as we were limited to the 2 nights, we were really hoping it wasn't going to rain, which it didn't. And so the day that we moved on again, that you can see in the video here, it was absolutely beautiful. The only thing was time was getting on, so the sun was getting lower and it was getting into our eyes a little bit, so there were places where it was literally blinding us when we were trying to go forwards, where we could literally hardly see where we were going. Certainly on the way into this lock, I had to walk along the towpath and along the side of the lock and sort of like indicate to Bly that he was going straight and that he was okay, because he literally couldn't see coming up to it. But yeah, did a really good job. But it was surprising just how difficult it was to see in places until the sun had gone down enough. So here we're just coming up to Moor, and we've got Scotsman's Flash to the right of us, and we've got Pearson's Flash to the left. So that was old mines where they'd done mining previously, and then the water had been let in. And so beautiful, as you can see, with the sun setting and everything. And as I started doing the panoramic view of the Flash as we were coming in, you'll see in a minute as I turn round to the front that there were swans in the front of the boat. I didn't actually realise they were there. I know that they were there just before this clip of the video, but that's because I've put it the wrong way round. But this was actually the first time that I turned the camera and actually saw the swans swimming up to us. And yeah, they stayed for quite a while, and they were coming every day while we were there. It was absolutely beautiful. The only problem that we did have is every time Bly went to put the generator on and lifted up the flap on the canopy, we were getting swans sticking their heads in because they wanted feeding all the time. So sometimes it's a bit difficult to put the generator on because yeah, we had to wait for them to move. And so you can see here as well, this is, oh, I'm not sure which one this is. I think this is daytime with Scotsman's Flash, which was the bigger one. We did notice the following morning after we moored there that parts of it were slightly icy. It wasn't fully iced up, but you could, I don't think you can see in this video, but there were parts of it that were starting to get icy, and that's the first time we've actually started seeing any ice on the canal since we've been on there this year. So I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you for joining us again. If you've enjoyed, please like, subscribe and share, and don't forget to catch up with us next week. And in the meantime, take care.